Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in with me today. Today's game I'll be reviewing is F1 Race for the Nintendo Famicom. F1 Race is a 3D racing game that was developed and published by Nintendo in association with HAL Laboratory. The game was released on November 2nd, 1984 in Japan. F1 Race is one of the early titles for the Famicom, so there's not too much to expect. However, I personally think it's quite good for such an early title. It's a shame that the game never got a USA or at least a European release, though Nintendo probably thought it wouldn't have sold too well in the Western regions. When you first start the game, you were greeted with 3 different skill levels to choose from, accompanied by some catchy title music. However, we'll be checking out the sound department later. The gameplay is pretty simple. You play as a Formula 1, as you may have guessed by the name of this game. The game contains 3 different skill levels, each containing different tracks. There are a total of 10 different tracks in this game, to which the game refers to as circuits. Skill level 1 uses circuits 1 through 5, skill level 2 uses circuits 3 through 7, while skill level 3 uses circuits 5 through 10. Each circuit contains 2 laps. I don't know why such a random number as 2, but hey, I'll take it. After you get to the 5th circuit of each skill level, the circuit will end there, containing infinite laps until you run out of time. The goal of this game isn't to get first place, but rather completing the circuit before the timer reaches 0. Once the timer reaches 0, your car starts to gradually slow down, and when it is completely stopped, you lose the game. Sometimes right as the timer reaches 0, you'll be lucky to pass the checkpoint and refill your time limit. The further you progress, the less time you have to complete a circuit, which means you'll have less room to screw up. Screw up one too many times and you may as well either shut the game off or press the reset button. Personally, I prefer the latter. Now let's talk about the difficulty of this game. The game's difficulty doesn't necessarily come from the difficulty of the tracks, although that is a contributing factor, but rather the other racers themselves. Now, don't worry, they don't try to intentionally run you off the road or anything, but it's very hard to avoid the cars during the curves, and that's where the main source of the difficulty comes from. Another factor which adds to the difficulty is the time limit. Really, Nintendo? Really? Wasn't the point of this game to make you feel like you're really in an F1 race? Well, in real life, I don't think they have time limits in freaking F1 races! Graphically, the game looks great for 1984. The backgrounds certainly aren't what you'd call Picasso, but they are nice and colorful for a game as early as this. My only gripe is that I wish they would have done more with the backgrounds. To Nintendo's credit, the scenery does look different every time you play. Something that is unique about the graphics though besides that is that every time you play, it could be either day or night or somewhere in between. No other racing games really did that at the time. As far as the music and sound goes, well, let's talk about the music first. What music? Yeah, there's barely any music in the game. There's only 3 songs. The title screen, as I mentioned before, the race start music, and the game over music. The music that is there is really good though, and I think Hideki Kanazashi and Hiroaki Suga did a great job working on the game's soundtrack. The sound effects in this game were nothing special, but they get the job done, and hey, that's good enough for me. There's no ear-piercing sounds that'll make you mute the TV, that's for sure. As far as the controls go, there's really not much to say. A button increases your speed while the B button decreases it. There is also a low and high gear. You know, this game is reminding me more and more of pole position. Anyways, down shifts into the high gear and up shifts into the low gear. I always thought it should be the other way around, but once you get used to it, it's basically second nature. The start button pauses and unpauses the game. Left and right steer your vehicle, and the select button does 3 different things. Absolutely, fucking, and nothing. Well, so much for the family-friendly review. And as far as the replay value goes, well, let's just say that if you want to kill some time, this will probably be the game you go to for help. That's how it is for me, anyway. The game was later ported to the Game Boy Color under the name F-1 Race. See what they did there? I've never played it, but I do plan on checking it out, especially since it's got a European and USA release. If I had to rate F1 Race, I would give it a 4 out of 5. The game's really fun and is a perfect time killer. The only main problem I had with this game was the microscopic soundtrack and that the game doesn't have a real ending, though some would consider completing all 10 circuits as beating the game. I also wish there was a position in the game to liven up the challenge. Now, I bought my copy complete in box for $15 at a local game store, but I'm sure you could find a loose cartridge for cheaper. On eBay, it's around $5 to $10 at the time this video was made, and if you live in certain countries, you could probably find this game on a multi-cart. If you've got a Famicom, buy this game immediately. You'll love it, or my name isn't, well, I can't guarantee it that much. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving, and of course, happy gaming.